Hello and welcome. My name is Nikki Moran. I'm a coach for creatives, and we're going to be looking at a masterclass called the Thriving Creatives Masterclass. And it's designed to give you the 3 strategies for really developing a career or a creative business on your own terms. And it's my philosophy and how I work with my clients. And I'm also going to share with you some ways that you can also work with me at the end. So I hope you enjoy the masterclass. I suggest as you watch it, get a piece of paper, a pen, because there's going to be some reflective questions as we work through it. All right, I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so yes, welcome. The Thriving Creatives Masterclass. What this journey is about is it's about achieving your full potential, being productive and having a fulfilling life on your own terms. This is me. If you've not met before, this is my website. This is my strapline: be bold, be free, be you. They're some of my values, and they're principles that I really believe are important for creating a life and a business that really gives you full satisfaction. So I coach creatives. I do a lot of deep work one-to-one with creatives, helping them to step into being leaders in their fields, to really help creatives move to the next level. Sometimes, as you know, a creative career can be really challenging. So I work with people one-to-one. And I also host a creative community called Thrive that I launched in January 2021 in the middle of lockdown. And it's been absolutely wonderful. So we'll be talking about that community as part of this journey as well later on. But this is my mission. I'm all about empowering creatives to achieve their full potential, create authentic projects, be brave and live a life on their own terms. And the reason I care about this is because I think the world needs it. I want the world to be enriched with really authentic, heartfelt creativity. Because, you know, let's face it, we need more creativity that comes from the heart. And I love working with my creatives and really helping them to express themselves in the most full way. So what we're going to look at is 3 things. We're going to start with, what do I mean? What is a thriving creative? Then we're going to look at 3 common barriers that I've seen in my work with many creatives over the years, and 6 solutions. And then later on, I'll let you know how you can work with me. I've got free stuff. I've got my membership and also coaching. I'll give you a little bit of insight into all of those areas. So what do I mean? What is a thriving creative? What do you think? Let's just have a think about that. 1 second. Okay, so let's just check in with this question again. What is a thriving creative? Well, for me, it's 2 things. It's about living to your full potential, whatever that means for you. But we know, don't we? We know, we have a felt sense of when we're living to our full potential. The other aspect is it's about having success on your own terms. Having success on your own terms. So for me, that's a really important thing. It's not success on society's terms. It's success for ourselves, what makes us feel successful. And everybody's incredibly different. And that's one of the things I've discovered in my journey of working with so many fascinating creative people over the years. So I'll share some of my stories in this journey. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to ask you a question. So if you're at home, I'm going to give you 4 options. And I want you to just reflect on a typical week for you. And I want you to ask yourself, in your average week, at the end of a typical week, how do you tend to feel? So there's 4 options. Do you feel like this? Wow, that was a great week. I was productive. I felt energized. I was focused. And I just know I did my best quality work. Is that you on an average week? If it is, you probably don't need to be here, but let's look at the second option. Okay, that was a good week. I was mostly productive, but I'm often tough on myself and I always have that feeling I could do better. Is that you? Or maybe you're this. I had moments of focus, but I do tend to sabotage myself. I get sidetracked on things I know I shouldn't be doing. Is that you? Well, finally, is this you? I constantly feel frustrated. I know I could do so much better in managing my time and my energy. I'm also my biggest critic, which probably makes it worse. So, which one are you? It's an important question. And when I did this as a poll, when I did this workshop live with a big group of people, what I found was the results were that people were somewhere in the middle. I think about 40 to 50% were like, yeah, mostly I'm productive, but I always feel I could do better. And then the other common one was I had moments of focus but tend to get sidetracked. So there's no judgment with this at all. It's just about being aware of what life feels like for you. What does it feel like for you? Okay, because this is what I want for you. My vision for you is that I want you to feel a consistency in your life. I want you to feel like every time you get to the end of the week, it was a good week, that you were productive, you had energy, you had focus, and you had that felt sense. Yeah, I just know I did my best quality. A felt sense, because that's where confidence comes from. It's that feeling of I did the best I can. And I know that's possible because I've been on a journey myself. And really, the work I do is to help clients to get to this point. But my question to you now is, what would you be doing differently if you were living to your full potential? What would you be doing differently? And what's getting in the way? What would you be doing? And most of the people, when they ask them this question, they would say, I would be doing work that really mattered to me. I would be doing the things that I know that I want to be doing in the future. I wouldn't be avoiding the most important things. And what's getting in the way? The most common thing people say was, it's me. It's me getting in the way. I tend to get in my own way. Because the truth is, if we do want to live our full potential, we have to get out of our own way. But that's a liberating thought as well, by the way. This isn't a judgment. It's about making a choice, isn't it? Because that tendency to sabotage is our shadow. The only ones who can really change it are ourselves. And the question is, how? Well, the good thing is that's why I'm here, because we're going to explore how. But let's look at this myth, shall we? I've talked about success on your own terms, but one of the things I've discovered in working with many, many creative people over the years is that what may be in the way is that most of us are either unclear and or have a faulty perception of success. So most of the time when people come to me for coaching, they're in that self-critical state of, I should be here by now. I should be much further along in my career. If only I had that qualification, I'd be here by now. And it's like, where do these perceptions come from? Often they come from society, what other people are doing, but they don't come from deep within us. And that's what I think is the most powerful reason people choose to work with me, because I help them identify a deeper felt sense of what success means to them. And what's been really interesting for me over the years is I've worked with people who have started our coaching process with dreams of wanting to play the Albert Hall or live in America and New York and have, this amazing advertising contract. And they achieved really big things. But then they've come back to me 2 or 3 years later and said, actually, that isn't what I really want. I actually want a simpler life. So it can be really fascinating. So success on our own terms isn't always what we perceive it to be. So I found that really fascinating. So the thing is, if we wish to thrive, fulfill our potential and have success on our own terms, we first need to discover what that really means. And to do that, we're going to start by looking at 3 common barriers and 6 solutions. So the first barrier is this. So you might recognize this battle because most of my clients have experienced this battle during their careers. It's the battle of money versus creative expression. So what we really want as creatives, we want freedom to do our own thing in our own way. Like, I went to arts college and it was fantastic. When I was there, I expressed myself. I did all these interesting things. I collaborated with people. I was surrounded by community. And it was just a chance to really learn and grow and express myself. And many people go through that phase in their creative education. And it's just a brilliant experience. But then, of course, they leave education and they come and live in cities like London, New York, these cities where the best work opportunities are, but they're also really expensive. And of course, we're under pressure. We have to make money. And we're in this dilemma, like, we want to do what we love, but we also have to make money. And eventually we end up having to prioritize money just because that's life. We have to pay our mortgage, we have to pay our rent, we have to make money to pay for food, or we end up having families. Life takes over. And before too long, it can feel like a real trap. And what can also happen is we end up putting our energies and we end up climbing the wrong ladder. So I've seen this over and over again with clients who've come to me. I've worked with millionaires who've spent years and years building up their creative work, but they're miserable because they're trapped making money, doing creative work that's really not fulfilling in their hearts. They're not doing work that's an expression. They're just going through the motions. I've met West End actors who've had leading roles. So on their CVs, it looks like they've made it and they're the envy of many people, but in their hearts, they're frustrated because they can't express themselves. They can't do the work that they long to do because they have to do what the director tells them to do every day. So I've seen people who climbed corporate ladders, started off as a creative and ended up leading teams. And this might also be that you chose not to have a creative career, and then you've spent time doing a job that is just way far away from what your heart originally wanted to do. So wherever you are, let me tell you, this is common. This is so, so common. And it's so, so painful. Because when you're up that ladder and you've found a way to make money, it can feel like a trap because it's hard to leave the money to go back to what you really want. But let me tell you, it's absolutely possible. So what's the solution to this? I don't want to leave you in that sad place of, because I just want to acknowledge it's really, really common. Many of us fall into this trap, including me. I went into working in the corporate world as a corporate trainer for years, and I lost myself. Because the thing is, you end up losing your confidence as well. If you go around the wrong track and you stop doing your creative stuff, it can sap away your confidence. So this is the solution. You need every single stage of your creative career, you need to prioritize passion projects. And I love this picture of this guy. Just he looks like he's lit up, and he's doing it. He's on, he's clearly busking, but he's doing it because he loves it, not because he's trying to make money. Or maybe he's busking, isn't he? But he's certainly, it's his passion. So what I have found is that when people get to a certain level in their career, they often forget to prioritize time just for pure self-expression. And it's incredibly important to make time for it. Not doing work for a client, not doing work to achieve something, but to express yourself. Because what that does, it really deeply connects you back with your creative heart. And as creatives, we need to be in connection with our hearts and our passions. It will ignite your motivation again. It will increase your energy. So even if you still have to do those money jobs, which are important, you'll do it from a fuller heart, and you'll actually be much better at those money jobs because you also have a lot more motivation and joy. So it's incredibly important. But the other thing is, by prioritizing passion projects, and I would say finishing passion projects is also important, because what that does is it gives you a sense of ownership. You build up a stockpile of a body of work that is yours. It's absolutely yours. And you learn and you grow from doing your own work, because what you do is you learn what you have to say. You learn what you have to say. So even if you're an actor and most of your time you're working on other people's scripts, it's finding your expression. Perhaps you might want to do some of your own little improvisations or dreams, or play with accents. So it's about finding what lights you up and creating projects and doing it. So here is my first little reflection for you. It's really important, Nick. So what I want you to do is to reflect on what brings out your passion the most. What do you love doing for its own sake? So please just reflect on that question for a minute, and I will just give you a minute. And if you need longer, you can just pause this video. And there might be multi things there as well. But what I want you to do is keep reflecting on this question and prioritize time for it. I've put here, I love hosting parties. I love cooking. I love spending time with friends, and I love to sing. So there may be many, many things, and it's vital you create time for it. And what this can do is not only revitalize you again and create connect you back to your heart, your soul, it can also set you in the right direction. Because when you connect with your heart and your passion, guess what? It will send you in the direction of where you most desire to go. It's a great indicator of the direction of travel. So it's very important, and it can lead to amazing things. So I've worked with many people across the spectrum, and I've seen evidence of the power of just spending time doing your creative work just for yourself, and it can really revitalize you. Okay, so doing your passion for its own sake. Our next solution to be a thriving creative is called share your passion projects with stories. So this builds on this idea of prioritize your passion projects. The passion projects are about you building a body of work that expresses what you want to say. And if you want to have an amazing career on your own terms, actually, by starting to share your work, guess what? It can actually end up being marketing for the direction that you want to go in. And I know many, many creatives really don't enjoy marketing. Most of us don't. And I understand that. And what can get in the way from us sharing our work is we can become self-critical or perfectionist and like, oh, I've done this passion project, but it's not quite good enough yet. But what I really encourage you to do is form a habit where you're brave and you start sharing your work. You can share your process, but if you put little stories around your work and just share with people, you know, I was just playing the guitar and I just came up with this song and it was about, you know, a bust up with my boyfriend, you know, whatever. What you're doing is you're drawing people in to help them learn more about your voice, your story, your perspective. And that is great marketing. And the more you do it, the more you build an audience. So this picture here is my niece. She's only 19 years old and she's been singing and playing the guitar for years, and she is storming it on social media. She is constantly just doing little concerts and putting songs out there, and she's already launched 2 singles. And I just admire her so much. And she did a live concert the other day and she just told little stories all the way through in this concert. And you could see people were just so engaged with her because she was revealing who she was. So she could be snapped up by some big record label who will want to shape her. But what I love about this picture is it just shows her authenticity. She's just being herself. And it's just incredibly beautiful to connect with her energy, because she's just sharing, you know, who she is and what she's about. And this is really powerful if you want to move your career in a direction where you're doing, you know, what is your passion. And here's somebody else who's in my community called Mike. He joined the membership program because he wanted to be a bit more in charge about the kind of photographs he took. So he intentionally started taking pictures of drinks because he really loves that industry. He lives by the sea and he started posting them, and he's getting like loads of feedback from people who just like commenting on you know, how beautiful and vibrant these pictures are. So he's building up a little audience, and he's doing it in our small community where it's safe, where people are going to engage with him. So if you resist sharing your personal work, then perhaps finding a small community is a place where you can start. And then you can start to be a bit more braver later on. I know the book The Artist's Way always talks about that. It talks about finding people that feel safe to share your heartfelt work with. But this is really powerful. And, you know, there really is potential in doing your passion work, in actually reorganizing your whole life. I remember working with one client who came to see me because he was an art director working in a very commercial sector, and his desire at the time was to work with the big sort of perfume labels, perfumeries, and very glamorous work. And when he started to connect with his passion again, what he realized is he loved painting. He absolutely loved painting. And he realized that living in London was like, he was just getting caught up by the need to pay his mortgage. So he sold up and moved somewhere cheaper, started painting. And within a few months, he started sharing his work, and he sent it to an agency who were like, who are you? We want you. And they signed him up straight away because his painting was just so expressive and free. So that's what we want. So you to share more of your work. We're on to barrier number 2 now. Now, this is the other really, really strong barrier that many creators face, including me. The thing is with being creative, a lot of us have many, many talents. So I meet people who are, you know, a poet, a cook, a gardener. They also, you know, run a painting and decorating business and Lindy Hop, and, you know, they do so many different things. But it can be really painful because when you've got so many talents and skills, what can happen is your energy gets dissipated because you're going in so many different directions. You're not necessarily really moving ahead or really getting recognized in the way you really should be, because you've clearly got talent if you can do all these different things. So it's a bit of a curse being a creative person. So what I'm not suggesting is you stop all those things that you love at all, because it's a wonderful, wonderful trait to be good at many, many different things. But what I do think is important is to find a way to either kind of connect everything that you do and find the essence so that you can identify what is bringing them all together, or you narrow your choices and you pick one to specialize in that you want to get known for. Either way. So here's one way of exploring this issue. And that's, for me, it's about going deeper rather than wider. And one way of doing that is really exploring your deeper purpose, to explore what you deeply care about and to think about the difference you really want to make with the work that you do. So I was one of these creatives who did many, many things. I did radio, I sang, I danced, and then I got into training and then I coached. But I realized with everything that I did, what I really cared about was creativity and human development. So I really realized my deeper priority in the world was helping to bring more creativity in the world. That's what I cared more than anything about. And now I kind of do everything I do aligns with that. So, really exploring this question, what do you really care about and what's the difference you wish to make? And just let your mind ponder on that question. Go for a walk, take a notebook with you. And here is another question I'm going to ask, which is also really powerful that might help you in the process of learning about your deeper purpose. And this is this question. So you might want to close your eyes for this. But I want you to imagine yourself at the age of 80 looking back at your life. So when I say the age of 80, I want you to imagine the most wise and healthy and dynamic, accomplished version of you, the kind of 80-year-old you really, really would admire. So that version of you. And I want you to ponder that when you get to the age of 80, what you'll be wanting for yourself as you look back at your life. And to just think, what creative project would you most like to realize in your lifetime? If you had to choose one, which creative project would you most like to realize? So I'll give you a moment just to think about that. And again, you might want to pause this video because this is a biggie. But it's really fun if you want to reflect on that. And again, you might go and have a cup of tea and just allow your imagination to wander with this question, because it's a beautiful way just to give yourself a little bit more perspective. Because when we're stuck in our confusion, it's very, very hard to see what's more important than the other things. So actually distancing yourself by age can be incredibly powerful. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. Now here's the fourth solution. So if you had a creative project idea that came from your wiser 80-year-old self, tells me that you really ought to prioritize some time pretty soon to get going on that. So my 5 solution is actually learning how to prioritize those important projects and plan them in. So here is a quick picture of how we use our energy. So we have things that are important to us and things that are urgent. And in the bottom right corner represents the red zone of what many of us do with our time, that we spend time on things that seem really urgent, but they're actually not important at all. So that might be other people asking for your time because it's important to them. It might be scrolling on Facebook. It might be getting addicted to some sort of Netflix series that you don't really need to watch, but you just have to watch that next episode. It's all those things that you do that take up time. And if you prioritize instead things that are not necessarily urgent, but they're really important to your life journey, then you would create a much more sustainable life where your energy feels much more steady. Because a lot of us are in that urgent zone because we're slightly addicted to that feeling of, oh, I've got to do that now. Whereas what we want to do is we want to have steady energy where we're focusing on priorities in life. But when we plan in our priorities, what happens is we're more likely to do them. People who plan tend to feel a lot more in control and relaxed in life because they just follow the plan. Once you've got it down there, you've taken away the stress for the brain to know what it needs to do. So taking time out to plan weekly, plan monthly, plan regularly. And it's also part of what we do in the membership, which I'll talk about later. Okay, and here's my reflection from this one. If you were to prioritize this creative project from the advice of your 80-year-old self, what would you do today to get it going? What would you do today? And that might simply be write a plan. Sometimes it's just writing a plan. Sometimes it's making that first phone call. Perhaps there's somebody you would love to work with. Perhaps you buy a notebook where you're going to put everything around that creative project in that notebook. So what could you do today? And my challenge to you is to take one action. The habit, if we all get into taking the one habit, and maybe that's every single morning you do that one action towards that important project first thing, and then you've achieved something massive that day. And it starts with now rather than later. Start it now. So one of the things I've been training myself to do, I've been learning the piano, and I love the certain series I have on Netflix that I love, and I will not allow myself to watch one of my favorite programs until I've done at least half an hour of piano practice, because then I enjoy it more. But if I do it, then I know I've achieved something. So what can you do now? Okay. So here is our final barrier. And this one is so common. And you'd be surprised, this one is common. I have worked with pop stars, West End stars, people who are students starting out. And I think the majority of us deal with this horrendous comparison trap. So what's bad about the comparison trap is I think it starts because we often, as creative people, end up working in isolation. And our comparison happens when we're looking at people on Instagram or Facebook, and we see this polished, perfect version of themselves. And all we do is we fall short because we compare their glossy world to our reality. And we just think they're successful and I'm not. And in truth, that polished reality ain't the truth. I can tell you now, because I've worked with people across the spectrum in terms of where they are in their career. And those people with the glossy image are often deeply unhappy. So it's really, really pointless comparing yourself to anybody. But it's really easy to do it, isn't it? But how do we stop ourselves from comparing ourselves to other people? Well, through this. My solution here is called Love and Impact. And this picture makes me laugh. I remember years ago buying a car, and I looked at several cars and they're all quite similar. But there was one car, it was a Ford car. That was the name of the car. And it had the most pretty gear stick. It was just like this one. It was silver and it was a silver ball. And I bought the car just because of this gear stick, which is quite ridiculous. But it kind of represents what I'm trying to say here is this gear stick made this car different to all the other cars I saw. And I loved it because I just thought it was beautiful. But the reason I'm telling this is because my solution is about love and impact. And love is about understanding what's different about you. Every single person I've ever worked with has got something really unique. And what my work is as a creative coach is to discover that with them, to find out what their unique superpowers are. And everyone has some. And it's really important to discover what your unique superpowers are. They're the things that you do and nobody else does them quite like you. And it's really trying to understand what the flavor of that is. So maybe you have a very unusual speaking voice, or you have a very unusual look, or a very weird process, or the way you do things. So it's trying to work out what's really unique about you, because that is the essence of what your brand is about. So what we don't want to do is just sound a bit like everybody else, because when we compare ourselves, often that means we end up subtly copying other people who we think are great, and we're not honoring our own uniqueness. So actually spending time working out your own uniqueness is incredibly important. And the other part of that, so that's love who you are, what's unique about you. The other part is it's about impact. So it's building a unique brand that attracts the kind of audience who love you too. So who really vibes with you? So I know my audience, they're kind of a bit like me. They're a bit kooky and a tiny bit eccentric, but they're also driven and they want to be the best in their field. You know, they're the kind of people that are attracted to me, because I reflect their uniqueness too. So when we're really good at defining our uniqueness, that might be our values, what we stand for, then often people are really drawn to us. So to help us with this, here's a couple of questions for you. So here's the first one. In what situations do you notice you have the greatest impact? And it might be the work that you do, by the way. If you're somebody who works, you write or you paint, it's what situations or what work for you seems to have the greatest impact. What seems to touch people the most? So for me, I know when I have the greatest impact is when I host. I absolutely love hosting spaces. That's why I set up a membership, because I'm a natural host. I know I'm good at that. I create nice spaces around me. That's my weird gift. And where are you naturally gifted? What just comes really easily to you? What comes easily? So I'll give you a minute to think about that. And if you're watching this, you might want to pause it, because this is a couple of really big questions. Okay, so if you're still not quite sure, a really good way of learning about these questions, is actually asking people who know you. You might ask your clients, you might ask your family or your friends. What do they see in you? Because sometimes it's really hard to see our own value. So by getting feedback from other people, that can be incredibly useful. So be brave and ask for that feedback. Okay, because we all have really, really unique gifts. And when you build your brand based on those gifts that set you apart, then you'll start to attract the right kind of clients, the right kind of audience who will love you because you're really in your zone of brilliance. And my final Thrive solution, it's no surprise that I'm showing my community here. What I really strongly suggest if you get stuck in that comparison trap is to start building real relationships. It might be that you're cut off and you're not having enough time with people who you can just be really authentic with. So join a community where you can be really authentic, where you can share your work and get support. So I'm going to talk about my membership in a minute. I'd welcome you to join mine, but it was set up so people can just relax, be themselves, and meet other people who are in their real environment. But this is so powerful for stopping the tendency to go into comparing yourself with those polished versions of other people. When you're in community, you get to hear other people's struggles, you get to hear other people's journeys, and it just makes you have more perspective and more of an understanding that we're all on a journey. Everybody has their own troubles and concerns, and we all have ways that we can support each other as well in these communities. So they're really powerful. So that's my 6 solutions. So I'll just do a quick summary. So how do you live to your full potential, and what is success on your terms? So for me, it starts with recognizing there are common barriers. There are more than this, but these are the 3 that I think are the ones I see the most. The money trap, getting confused, and comparing ourselves to other people. So the money trap is when we get stuck doing more and more work that makes us money, but it's not fulfilling our soul, and we'll get more and more of that. Confusion is too many options, and comparing yourself often happens unfavorably. So these are the solutions to all of those. Prioritize passion, make time to do things that just set your soul on fire, even if you're so busy. Create a little bit of space every day to do something that just lifts you, makes you feel alive. And then you start building your profile by sharing those passions, and that can really build a following in a direction that reflects your passion projects. And guess what? That can lead to the right direction for your work as well. It can be very powerful, and that's what I love about the area that we live in. You can be in control of your profile and how people see you, and by sharing your passion projects, that's a way for people to get to know the deepest expression of who you are. Then define your purpose. To get really clear on living a successful life on your terms, it really helps to know what's important to you. If you only had one choice in life, if you were your 80-year-old self, what's important? Let's get clear for you on what drives you, what's your purpose. And prioritize and plan those important passion projects and things that align with your purpose. Very important. Love and impact. Discover what you're really uniquely good at, and around that, build a unique brand. Because if you package together the unique things that you're great at, one, you'll be able to do more of it if you package that together and let people know. So you can really find a way of imparting to people that this is what you're brilliant at, and attracting more of that. And the final thing is, oh my God, build real relationships, join a community. This can be really life-changing, and it certainly changed my life, having a community. For me, when I was always isolated, I would always make excuses. I would always leave things to the last minute. I was always in a bit of a mess. When I joined a community where I got accountability, where I had a buddy, where I was encouraged to plan my work, oh my God, I got so much more done. And that's why I set up my membership. Okay, so they're my solutions for you. Okay, I hope that was helpful. But a warning here, be patient, because creating success on your own term terms, it takes time. Be kind to yourself. This is a journey and it's not about a destination. But you can take charge of getting out of your own way today. So I'm just going to share with you now some ways that you can work with me. If you want me to be your guide, I've been doing this work quite a long time, and here are 3 ways that you can work with me if you'd like to. The first thing is, if you don't have much money, then I've got a couple of freebies. First of all, I've written an ebook that you can get on my website. If you go to any of my blogs, at the bottom of all of my blogs, you can access, there's a link that you can get this ebook, and it's about 6 ways to thrive. So it's full of really powerful questions, and you can get a copy of that. And I've also got a brand identity quiz, which is really fun. I designed this with a colleague called Bev Glick, who's a journalist, and we looked at all the most successful creatives and across the fields, and we spotted there were certain energies that they were leading with that made them very identifiable. And we created like 7 archetypes. And what we believe is, if you identify your lead archetype, it's much easier to promote yourself and understand what's unique about you. So I'm a charmer, which is the Dolly Parton archetype. So that means I lead with friendliness and I host and I make people feel welcome. And that's part of my brand. But I also have a pioneer in me, which is a forward thinking energy, which is a bit more kind of powerful and go-getting. So that combination makes my brand very unique. So you can get access to that on my website. I also do one-to-one coaching if you want to go a little deeper. If you really think I have got so much that I want to explore, then book some time with me. One-to-one coaching can absolutely change your life. So I help people get clarity on their purpose, their values, and their creative identity, their personal brand. Really help you get clear on your superpowers so you can get more of the work you love and become a creative leader within your field. It's beautiful work and I love it. So if you are thinking you might want some coaching, you can just apply, send me an email, and I normally get people to just fill out a form first to make sure that we're a good match for each other. That's how you do that. And then finally, hey, I've talked about this a couple of times. I launched this community in January 2021. And in the middle of lockdown, and it's been one of the most joyful things I've ever experienced. So I've run many like workshops in London, live events. I've had like little communities here and there, but this has been something really special, and it's called Thrive Membership Community. And as you can see, it's about people who want success on their own terms, and it allows people to be around me in my community and to work alongside me in a very, very much like a family, actually. So my vision for Thrive and everybody who comes on it, that I want people to feel this. I want people to come away at the end of every week and think, that was a great week. I was productive, energized, focused, and I know I did my best quality work. So it's about having that feeling every single week and every day. That's what Thrive is really about. The purpose of it, one is, achieve your full potential and learn a deeper sense of what success means on your terms. And for me, that takes time. It's about trying and testing things out, getting feedback. But Thrive gives you the space to really learn and grow. It's also about getting important projects done, because we have structure and we have focus. There's structured elements to Thrive to help people really prioritize things and get them in. It's about developing skills and powerful new habits. So I teach workshops to help people to learn. And it's also about building friendships and collaborate with other creatives. So I've got, people in Cornwall, the north of England, in Ireland, and it's wonderful that people who may not have a little community on their doorstep have access to all these creatives all over the place. And it's just so powerful, the friendships that form when we meet regularly and hang out together. It's fantastic. And it's also about accountability. So you can have a buddy, and there's also little mini pod support as well, because there's groups of photographers, groups of artists, and they're supporting each other as well as having buddies in other disciplines. And for me, it's really about having more confidence, because when you track your success weekly, monthly, every quarter, you begin to think, oh my God, look at what I've achieved. Most creative people don't look at what they've achieved, they look at what they haven't achieved, and they always feel less than. So really Thrive's about like baby steps, learning what you're doing successfully and building gradually on that, so that confidence grows bit by bit. So Thrive is in 4 quarters. So I've just, and it's now April, but we've just finished 3 months of thinking about what's important to us, what's clear, dreaming, clarity and fulfillment. And we're just about to start this phase, confidence and connections, which is April to June. Then July to September is we're going to do a creative passion project, complete and finishing it. And then we finish the year with completions with wellbeing. We'll very much look at self-care and mindfulness and really taking care of yourself. But you can actually join at any one of these quarters. It doesn't matter when you join, because you can just, you can do them all, and you can do them several times. That's the idea, because each time you go around one of these quarters, you'll deepen that area. This is how it works. We have these 3 structures at the moment. There's Monday mornings, 8:30 till 10:30, and you can drop in anytime. You don't have to come at 8:30. You can come at 9 or 9:30 and 10. You get together with everybody else and we all plan our week. And there's also space if you want to get an important bit of work done. So if you can start at 8:30, plan your week, and then you can stay till 10:30 and just really focus on a solid bit of work. So we do that together. Wednesday mornings, we've started doing mindfulness with my partner Rob, who just helps everybody to start the day with mindful breathing, mindful movement, and it's just really lovely. And at the end of the week, we do something called an inspiration slot, where we gather together and share either something that's gone really well that week, or we share something that's inspired us. And that's really exciting. And I've learned about different exhibitions and artists and documentaries. It's just really lovely to kind of gather and hear what people are up to. So that kind of happens every week. There's also workshops. So every single quarter there's going to be a different theme, as you saw. So it might be we're looking at confidence, creative flow, communicating with impact, networking. And the workshops are all recorded, so you can come live, do the workshops just like this, or you can watch them afterwards. They all go in the Facebook group. And then every quarter, it's really about planning what's the priority for those 3 months. So I send out all these different structures for people to plan, and they prioritize. We have like a workshop together where we all like really think about the next 3 months. And let's face it, we just don't do that. If there's no structure or time in the diary, we just don't tend to spend the time to do that. And it's incredibly useful to be intentional about what you want to create for the 3 months ahead. You're given a buddy to support you, and with your buddy you send them your weekly plan. You have agreements on how you'll support each other, and we swap buddies around, so you work with different people. And at the end of the 3 months we gather together and we all share where we got to in our 3 months. We share and we celebrate. So that's basically the structure of it. So if you want to join the Thrive community, or if you want some coaching, please send me an email to nikkimoran.co.uk to confirm your place if you have any questions, and I'll send an invoice to you. So I'll just stop that share now. And to just say thank you for following me on this journey. I hope you enjoyed it. I've worked with many creators over the years, and I am so passionate about what I do. What I would like to say is the world really, really needs your authentic creativity. If you're here, you're probably very, very talented. And what I care most about is that people who are creative, they have talent, they maximize on that talent, and they also share it. So they build an audience, because there's so much commercial work out there, and we need more individuals making an impact and doing the work that they love doing and having the impact they're supposed to make in the world. So I hope you've enjoyed the program, and I'll speak to you very soon. Take care. Bye.